folks, it's Jeremy with Cable Brothers here, and I wanted to take a little bit of time and show you how we do downspout connections and outlets. Developed this over the last number of years, trial and error somewhat, things that work and don't work, and input from others as well. So here's our common practice. We're always improving, obviously. That's our goal. Here, I'll flip this camera around and give you a quick look. So we've got this set up right here. This is what we do for most downspout connections. We've got, first of all, a downspout adapter. Goes from solid PVC 4-inch here to whatever size of downspout we have, and we can get this in a few different sizes. And then we go to a Y right here, and we opt to use a drain grate. I know sometimes in the past we've used a screw-in plug, and that is an option. The reason we switched to the drain grate is to give more air ventilation, help the water move quicker, also to give place for if there was ever a blockage in the pipe out in the yard, or it freezes, the water can flow out here instead of stacking up in the downspout or dumping out here. If this is a tight enough seal between the downspout and this, it could stack up water in the downspout and end up tearing a downspout or a gutter off the roof. That's what we want to avoid. So that's why we opt for this in place of the threaded cap like we used to use. And this is not glued in. Can't hardly do this with one hand, but you can pretty easily, if you have both hands available, pop this drain grate out just like that and run a hose or a blower or something down here to clean that out. And then this here, it snaps in there nice and tight like that. This tag can come off obviously, but anyway, that's how we do that. And then we come down to a connection that then runs out to the lawn. Once we get out to our pop-up in the lawn, if that's what we're using, this is what is most common in the industry for pop-ups. NDS, spring-loaded pop-up. This just sits in here, it's not glued. It's spring-loaded, as you can see here. So the water, once it gets enough pressure, builds up and pushes that up, and the water can flow out. Once it's done, pops back down and keeps debris and grass from getting down in here. You'll notice down on the bottom there is a slot there. That is to drain the water out of this pipe once it's done raining, and that is to just help keep water from just sitting in the end of the pipe here and collecting mosquito larvae and so forth. We can extend this up however high we need for the lawn, but we leave this not glued in so that, again, if you do need to clean it out, you can just take this off, reach in there, pull out leaves, etc., and put this back on. Now we have started switching over to this new pop-up from French Drain Man, based out of Michigan. It's got a much wider plate on it, as you can see, and that's for turf restriction. Keeps the grass from growing over it as quickly. You can see the size difference here. But we're probably gonna start switching over to these just because of that, just to help keep the grass from impeding on this as much. It's not a spring-loaded style, it's more of a lid style, but same idea. It lets the water flow out. If there's just a low volume of water, it'll just seep out water around the lid. If there's more volume, it'll push that lid up and flow out. And then again, if you pull this little plastic pin out right here, this lid will come out and you can reach in there and clean it out. You can almost do without it there. So anyway, and that is the same idea, just pops down in the pipe there, and then that would sit, you know, flush with the grass. Grass would come up to the edge of this here. So those are a couple different options when it comes to pop-ups in the lawn. Another option we do, if we have enough slope, is switch over to what we call a daylight outlet, and that's essentially if you have enough slope in the yard, you're just heading out a hill, or maybe you have a woods nearby and you're heading out into the woods, we will opt for this every time, because this is not going to clog up with debris like a pop-up could. And so what we do is just cut the pipe off flush, try to get that, you know, comparable to the slope of the lawn. So if it is in the lawn, you're not going to have a big hole or a pipe sticking out. If it's in a woods or dumping into a creek, doesn't really matter. Just cut that pipe off flush, and then we install this it's a stainless steel. You can get them in different metal grades. We opt to get the stainless steel so that it does not rust. And it just gets, we drill a hole in the top and it just gets bolted up in there. It can be lifted up to clean out. That's the nice thing, you know, the debris can flow through and just flow on out and not get clogged. But this is made to keep squirrels and other critters from getting up in there. So, you know, in place of this, sometimes we'll have an outlet like that with the stainless steel critter guard in it. So that's our different options when it comes to outlets. And again, this is our standard setup when it comes to downspouts. And then one other option that is available for downspout connections is this piece right here, made by NDS, and it's specifically for downspout drainage. Ideally, you know, your downspout will come right to this, and this here is meant to sluice off any leaves, debris before it goes into the system. And then there's a PVC 4-inch pipe that comes into this catch basin, and that runs the water out. We've used this on one project. We haven't loved it. It works okay as long as you have your downspout come down directly onto it, as long as the leaves don't pile up. But then the other problem is this catch basin, if you get into good enough freeze in winter, that catch basin is going to move around some, which could put it, you know, not quite level to the house, and it starts to look not so great. It does work well as long as it's sitting nice and level to the house, side to side, back to back, and your downspout comes right down to it. But that's a little hard to do when you have that much, you know, you got probably 1.5 to 2 inches gap between the house and where that downspout's going to come to. And if you have concrete runoff on the house foundation, it's really hard to get a catch basin like this to look nice without pulling your downspout out further away from the house, which just isn't great. So that's another option I wanted to go over, and the reasons we don't really use that. One last thing I wanted to show you is how we connect sump pumps. So this is our go-to as of now. Most sump pump lines as it comes out of the basement is around 1.5 inch line. And so what we do immediately generally is put this adapter on. This adapter serves as two purposes. One, obviously it adapts from 1.5 inch to a 4-inch drain line. And then two, it gives you these vents here for airflow, and also again that freeze protection, that if there was something to freeze down the line, that water can still get out and not back up into the sump pit. So having a vent capability outside is absolutely crucial, or you will, if you ever have a problem down the line, it will back into the basement. You can always do that a little differently, and you know, do this kind of setup where we use for our downspout, but instead of having this downspout adapter, just have some adapters down to that 1.5 inch, and just use this clean out Y for the same idea as this. So same concept, just a different setup. This is simpler and a little cleaner, but you can still do the same thing with a little more standard fittings.